Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation from the great team who put this together. My day job is at a factory in East Bali, which is around 3 hours from Ubud. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's kind of in the shadow of the Agung volcano, which is that one that keep erupting recently. So we had some issues with that, but. My day job is at a factory, and we make stuff like this. This is cashews with coconut chips and stuff like that, and I think you can take some home with you when you go out of the reception desk. But actually, so a little bit about the factory. We have around 500 employees. We started around 6 years ago. The employees are all mainly cashew farmers. 85% of them are female. It's a very kind of undeveloped village. We still don't have running water. We got electricity 3 years ago. We export products to different countries around the world. You can find us on Amazon and places like that, and hotel mini bars and 7-Elevens and places like that we sell it. But actually today I'm not here to speak about cashews or the factory. I'm here to kind of give a impromptu lesson on the most planted crop on Earth. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Does anyone know what the most planted crop on Earth is? Corn, correct, yeah. So, there's the clicker. So, originally I do this talk on just corn, and today I'm gonna add a little bit about palm oil because we're in Asia and palm oil is everywhere. So, as I said, the most planted crop on Earth is corn. Last year, we grew around 1 million tons of corn. 1 billion tons of corn, which is around 1 trillion kilos of corn. So for every man, woman, and child on Earth, that is around 120 kilos a year of corn. Actually, 2 years ago, it was more. It was 1.2 trillion kilos that we grew of corn. And the reason it went down is because corn prices were not high enough. Palm oil is planted on 100 million hectares of land. This is very, very, very recent, as you'll see. Hey, how do I just push the red? Oh, the green one. Okay. The big. Point it. Okay. So why are corn and palm oil such? Why are they everywhere, right? Why is corn grown? Why do we plant it more than anything else? Why is palm oil now the most popular oil? It's because it's a very, 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 very efficient and effective technology. Corn has been grown for. There we go. Push the red button, green button. Which color button? There we go. Okay. So corn is the most efficient crop. So per million calories per acre. So this is how efficient it is as producing calories compared to different crops that are grown. And you'll have palm oil on the other side. This is really amazing if you think about that. So palm oil produces 3.8 tons of oil per hectare. Rapeseed or canola oil is the next one down, and that's at 7. So it's five times as efficient a crop. So that explains why it took over so fast. It's also very, very profitable to plant because you can cut down the jungle, sell the wood, and then that actually pays for all of the planting. And then corn, as you see here, very, very. Corn actually started, as a lot of people know, 7,000 years ago in the Aztec, Inca, and Mayan empires, and actually fueled the growth of that empire because they were able to feed their armies, feed their people very, very easily and provide the calories for the growing populations and expand based on that. Interesting thing is when it spread over to Italy in the 1400s, hundreds of thousands of people died from it. The Italians started planting corn because it was such an amazing crop, and it grew, but they didn't know how to process. They didn't know how to use the traditional technique of nixtamalization. So they died from an amino acid deficiency called pellagra, from a deficiency of lysine. This is the rise of corn over the last, 150 years from 100 million tons to now, as I said, around 1 million metric tons, or about 1 trillion kilos a year. Palm oil, similar. This shift really started to happen from basically nothing. No one except some places in Africa use it in traditional cuisine, and in Southeast Asia as well. No one really uses palm oil had used it because it's not that flavorful of an oil compared to coconut oil or olive oil or other oils, soybean oil. So really, it was really the industry that took it over. As we shifted away from trans fats, palm oil is really the only other fat that works in industrial products like Oreos or Nutella or Kit Kats or chips or all that kind of stuff, biscuits and wafers and shortening. It's the only oil on earth that's vegetarian that works for these kind of things. So that's really explained its massive growth. This is just about the GMO corn. Why GMO really became so popular is because it made farmers' jobs. Anyone could enter into it, right? It made it a lot simpler. If you had a pest, kill the pest. If you had salinity issues, use a high salinity corn. It just improved the technology, if you will. I'm not speaking of if it's good or bad. I'm just saying why has it become so popular, and also because massive agro industry can get behind it, and that kind of profitability will, and those research dollars will fuel that technology as well. So, like I said, we last year we produced 1 trillion kilos of corn. That's enough for the caloric requirements for every person on Earth. Like we could just eat for the energy requirement for the human species. Corn is enough. We could actually all just eat corn. No other crops. We wouldn't need it for energy. Wouldn't need rice, wheat, any of that other kinds of stuff. Just from corn is enough calories. But we actually don't eat corn. Probably most of you wouldn't even realize what kind of corn this is that I'm actually talking about. Humans eat less than 0.5% of corn that we grow. And you would find that in things such as tortillas or in cornflakes or polenta or grits. That's about it. The rest, another 10% goes into processing for corn syrup or maltodextrin, and then 45% goes to fuel. So we burn it mainly in the U.S. for ethanol production, and another 45% goes for feed, animal feed. So for example, a 100-gram steak uses around 2 kilos of corn to produce. All of your milk, your cheese, your eggs, your chicken, all that meat, everything comes from is finished with corn because it's such a cheap material and it produces calories so efficiently, so cheaply. That's where the corn goes. So ethanol, animal feed, food, corn syrup, industrial uses. And then palm oil, as you know, is in everything, right? So your Oreos, Kit Kats, Nutellas, snacks you'll see, pretty much everything. It's in around, corn is around 75% of all products in the supermarket, and palm oil is in around 50% of the products in a supermarket. It is not in my product. Just in case you were wondering. So what else? So that's kind of just a little bit of background information on corn and palm oil, some stuff you might not have known. What are the effects of having this very, very cheap caloric substance available? This is the first time in human history ever that we've had such an abundance of calories. And this happened very recently, in the last 50 years. So 100,000 years, we were short of calories. Last 50 years, we have an abundance. We produce around 500% more calories than we need as a population to survive. So as people get wealthier, of course, obesity is a crisis. Everywhere across the world, in every country, obesity rates are rising. In Thailand, you have now around 40%, 38% of the adult urban population is obese. This is a very, very, very serious crisis, especially when it happens with children. In the U.S., you're already at around 20% of childhood obesity. It's a very, very, very serious problem, diabetes and whatnot. Obviously, deforestation, if you're familiar at all with Indonesia and Malaysian planting. We've cut down 100 million hectares of tropical rainforest just for palm oil, and this is what it looks like, just planting one single species across that entire. So you obviously have a loss of diversity. You're also producing an oil that's not particularly good for for anything. It's not healthy. It's just for industrial use. And then in the U.S., you have the algal blooms. You have the Gulf of Mexico massive algal bloom that you have the dead zone that kind of stretches all the way from Mexico into the Caribbean from the Mississippi fertilizer runoff. This happens in a lot of, you have chemical runoff, you have fertilizer oversprays, you have all sorts of issues that come with these technologies. I don't know. So that is kind of a very, very quick rundown on corn and palm oil. And I really like to just there's no miracle ending to this speech. I think one of the we kind of got this idea and we couldn't pull it together fast enough, but this Indonesian farmer who's planting, or Malaysian farmer who's planting and harvesting palm, and this American farmer who's harvesting, most likely the American farmer is eating Indonesian palm oil in the form of his Oreos or his biscuits or whatnot. And the Indonesian farmer, this guy's chicken is for sure from American corn. The American farmer is most likely going to be overweight or obese, and the Indonesian farmer is most likely going to be there eventually. If you look, or his children is going to be there eventually. So I think the big conclusion. I have like 10 conclusions from what can we do about this. I think one thing you can do is you can eat vegan, right? 2 meals a day. Try to do that. If you're not eating animal products, that's going to drastically reduce the need for corn. Another thing you can do is know a farmer, or get to know a farmer. Go to a farm. I think just by increasing the quality of what we eat and the diversity, it'll naturally make us not want to eat Oreos and junk food like that more. What else? Yeah, and I think teaching cooking. If you can, palm oil is these palm oil and corn, you don't actually cook with them, or very rarely. I mean, if you're in Indonesia, okay, you do as your fry oil, as your cheap oil, but it's traditional Indonesian cuisine would use coconut oil. So, just cooking, I think, is a great way to reduce these, or at least make people more aware of it. Because you're not cooking with corn, you're not cooking with palm oil. So the more you're cooking, I think the better, and the more you're teaching people to cook and use these the great ingredients that we saw, that we've seen throughout this conference, is another great way to kind of deal with that. So that's all.
Thank you very much, Aaron.